Good morning, all of you. Welcome back to a course, Database Management System. In today's lecture, we are going to start a topic, Database System Architecture. In last lecture, we discussed about different types of users, database abstraction, independence concept, and now today we are going to discuss database system architecture. So in this diagram, you can able to see there are various components of databases are there. See, I want to tell you one thing, that if you refer different books, you may find different architecture. So this diagram I have taken from a book called as a Sudarshan and Korth, Database System Concept by Sudarshan and Korth. So I have taken this diagram from that book. If you refer CJ Red book, then you may find architecture diagram different. That's why I have given this disclaimer. So in this particular architecture, you may find there are a number of layers are there. On the top layer, you may find that different types of users are there who interact with the database. We already gone through different types of user. First one is a naive user. Naive user are that kind of user who interact with the database, but they don't have any kind of knowledge about SQL. Then second type of user is application programmer who write a specific application program such as Java developer, .NET developer. Next kind of user is sophisticated user. They are that kind of user who interact with the database by using structure query language. Then fourth type of user is a specialized user called as a DB, database administrator. Then you can see this layer is there. Actually, it's a interface between the user and the various components of the database. So where are various application interfaces are there, various application programs are there, then various query tools are available, and some administration tools are there through which you can interact with the database. So your database component mainly starts from this particular layer, query. This is one is a query processor, this one is a storage manager, and these are the various component related to storage manager. So we will discuss all these component of this architecture one by one. So we'll start from this layer, that is query processor. So here you observe that n number of components will be there, which is a part of query processor. So here first of all we'll see DDL interpreter. So in order to understand what is DDL interpreter, first of all you should know the classification of SQL. Majorly SQL is classified into four category. One is a DDL, DML, DCL, and TCL. These are the four categories are there in which SQL is classified. So DDL stands for data definition language. It consists of all the commands which allows us to perform any kind of operation with the structure of an object in the database. So one of the object structure that we use in the database called as a table. So DDL commands are those commands which allows us to make change in the structure of a table. So it involves commands such as create table, alter table, these are drop table. These are commands which is in the category of DDL. So what is the use of DDL interpreter? So DDL interpreter is responsible for interpreting the DDL command which is run by the user. Here you can see that there are query tools are there. So by using query you can interact with the database. Suppose I have written a simple query to create a new table. So that particular query has to be identified. So it's a role of DDL interpreter to interpret that DDL command. Then you observe this DML query is there. Then I told you that SQL is classified into DDL, DML, DCL, and TCL. So I already told you about DDL. Now second one is a DML. So DML stands for data manipulation language. So its name suggests manipulation. It allows to manipulate a data which is present in the database. We have seen that in case of DDL it allowed to make change in the structure of object. For example, the object is table, and suppose we want to make any kind of change in the data present in the table, then we need to write a DML queries. So what are the different DML queries are there? Insert into, update, delete. These are few command which are part of a DML language. So what is the role of DML query? It will identify the, or it will recognize the DML query which is written by the user. Then again you may find different component, that is compiler. Now you can think what is the role of compiler in case of a database. See, in this case compiler, or you can say parser, is responsible for converting your SQL query into a relational algebra query, because in case of a database, your user is going to write a SQL query, because SQL is a language that is understandable by the user, but your database will not directly understand SQL, so it needs to be converted into relational algebra. So there compiler comes into picture, which converts a SQL query which is written by user into a relational algebra query which is recognized by your query evaluation engine. So that is the role of compiler in case of a database. Then again we have a query evaluation engine, but before query evaluation engine we have one more component called as a query optimizer. So what is optimizer? See, in the introductory lecture I told you about optimizer. What is the role of optimizer? Optimizer always help us to reduce the number of resources we required for execution of a query. So I have given you the simple example. What is optimization? Suppose you want to go to college from your home, so there can be a case that more than one route is available. Route 1 is going to take 10 minutes and route 2 is going to take a 15 minutes. So obviously which route you will select? You will select route 1 because it takes only 10 minutes of time to reach to your college. So this is what a optimization. Similarly, whenever user is going to write a single query, so that single query can be executed in multiple ways. Single query can be executed in multiple ways. Okay, so we want such a plan of a query which takes less amount of time for execution of that particular query. So that is what a optimization. So in unit number 4 we are going to discuss about query processing and query optimization. So we want that, we want to find an efficient way of executing a query. So there are various techniques are there, so it is also a part of a query processor. Now next component is that query evaluation engine. So what is the role of a query evaluation engine? First of all, you just write a SQL query, then compiler comes into existence which converts that SQL query to relational algebra query, then it is given it to optimizer which generate one efficient plan, and that plan is given to query evaluation engine. So what is the role of query evaluation engine? Query evaluation engine will make use of that plan, retrieve the data from the database and give it to the user. So these are various components which are involved in the query processor. Now next type of component is storage manager, which involves four sub components. So what are the four sub components involved in storage manager? Very first is transaction manager. So in introductory lecture we discuss about transaction. So transaction means what? Any kind of change. Transaction is what? Making change in case of a database. So generally you heard this word transaction in terms of banking, but transaction can also be used in other domain also. So for smooth execution of a transaction, this transaction manager is responsible. Manager is monitoring continuously the process that takes place in the database, and it is responsible for smooth execution of transaction, and it will make sure that your database remain in a consistent state. Consistent state means what? It will satisfy all integrity constraint. And what is integrity constraint? Integrity constraint means set of rules that we apply on the database, and we want that database will satisfy this condition. For example, we want that the balance for any person in the bank is should not be less than 500. That means minimum balance condition is of 500 rupees. So whenever we are withdrawing amount, your database will take care that your balance should not be less than 500. So for that purpose we have to apply check constraint. So transaction manager is responsible for smooth execution of transaction, and it will make sure that your database will not enter into a inconsistent state. The next one is authorization and integrity manager. Authorization means what? See, in case of a database, in order to provide a security, different kind of access is provided. We allow some user to make change in table. We do not allow another user to we do not allow another user to make any kind of change in the table. So authorization manager will check whether particular user who try to access or want to perform particular operation on particular table, whether he is allowed or not. So that will be checked by the authorization manager. And second one is integrity manager. As I told you, integrity manager is again responsible for checking whether integrity constraint that is applied by user on the database is satisfied or not. Again, integrity constraint means what? Set of rule imposed by user on database so that user will not enter invalid data into a table. Then third component is file manager. So what is the role of file manager? File manager is responsible for allocating space on the disk. Whenever we are creating a new table, so space has to be allocated on secondary memory. So file manager is responsible for allocating space to particular object of a database on secondary memory. Then fourth part is buffer manager. Buffer manager also play a very important role. As you know, what is buffer? Buffer is nothing but a temporary memory. Whenever you are retrieving a huge amount of data from a database and you have to display it to the user, suppose it is huge in size, at a time you are not able to display properly. So in that case, for temporary purpose, that data is being stored in the buffer manager and then again it is given to the user. So these are the four components which are a part of a storage manager. Then at the bottom you will find another component. These are the disk related component to attach to store manager. First one is a data dictionary. So what is a data dictionary? Actually, data dictionary stores your metadata. Now what is metadata? Metadata is nothing but a data about a data. Data dictionary stores metadata, and metadata nothing but a data about a data. You know what is the use of a dictionary? In dictionary, a particular word is there and their meaning is given. That means it is giving more information about a particular data. In the same way, there is a concept of metadata. So your data dictionary holds a metadata. Now question arises, what is the role of data dictionary in database? So it maintains information related to all the activity performed in the database. That means how many user have access a particular database, which part, which particular attribute is accessed by which particular user, at what time, what kind of operation is being performed. That means complete log is being stored in the data dictionary, and this is used by DBA. And generally the data dictionary part is accessed by DBA for investigation purpose or checking the performance, or want to know what kind of operation, what kind of activities takes place on the database. Then statistical data, again it gives you information about how many rows are present in the table, how many attributes are there, what are the data types are there. So all these information will be stored in the statistical data. Then next component is indices. So what is indices? I told you in the introductory lecture, index, we are going to create an index on my table. Suppose I am going to store huge amount of row or number of records in the table. So it is generally used to save a query retrieval time, means retrieval time. Suppose I want to save a retrieval time from the database. At that time I am going to use the concept of index. Index generally consists of two things. It stores key value pair. Key is nothing but a particular address, sorry, key is nothing but a particular key, we can say particular topic that I want to find, and value is nothing but a address where that particular topic resides. For example, in your book, on the back side of the book you may find index. So what is given over there? topic name as well as the page number. So topic name is nothing but a key, and page number is nothing but a address. Similarly, in case of a database, you are going to store n number of rows. So in that row you are accessing, for example, account number. So account number is a key, and address where that account number reside is nothing but a value. So we are going to use the indices also. Then a last component in this architecture is data. This data is nothing but a actual database file which is stored in the directory. So I hope all of you understand all the components of a database management system. So this is called as a component, or you can say architecture. So we have discussed various components of a database. Now the next topic is uh, two-tier and three-tier architecture. So here we have seen two architecture. One is a two-tier architecture and second one is a three-tier architecture. So first we understand what is the component, or how two-tier architecture works. So here you can see that user is present on top of the layer. Now suppose user want to access a database. So how user will access a database? By using any application program. That application program may be developed by using Java, or it may be using .NET or any other programming language. So user will not directly interact with the system. So here I am talking about new user, because new user don't know how to interact with the database. So always they require a specific application program to interact with the database. So in two-tier architecture, user make use of a application program to interact with the database. So this is what a two-tier architecture. So on the contrary, or on different side, we also have three-tier architecture. So what difference you observe between two-tier architecture and three-tier architecture? In three-tier architecture, one additional component you will find, that is application server. Now what is the use of application server? Whether you think that application server is useful one, so the answer is yes, application server is useful. Now I will give a simple example to illustrate a difference between two-tier and three-tier architecture, and how three-tier architecture is beneficial. Now just consider a scenario. A set of student is giving interview. Okay, one interviewer is there who is sitting in a single room, and 50 students are there who need to give interview to that interviewer. So first of all we consider a scenario of two-tier architecture. So in two-tier architecture, my database system is what my interviewer, and my user is nothing but a student. So one by one student is going into that interviewer room. First of all, student 1 will go to interviewer room, then student 2, then student 3, and so on. But in this case, what is the issue? There is no third person is available who can coordinate. So in that case, what kind of problem that may face? Maybe the case that 5 students may go at a time in the interviewer's room to give the interview, because there is no person available who can control that student. Okay, but exactly opposite to this, there is a three-tier architecture. Now in our scenario, we what we'll do, we'll keep one attendant outside that interviewer room. So what is the role of that attendant? Attendant will allow only one person to enter into a interviewer room. That means what is the role played by application server? To control the traffic. Okay, it will, in that our scenario, it will control the number of students who are appearing for interview. And in case of a database, you can find that application server will control the number of requests that is coming to access the database. So which architecture is better? Obviously three-tier architecture is better as compared to two-tier architecture. So in this case, user will interact with the database system. For example, we are using Java, then in that case they will make use of JDBC and ODBC. Generally JDBC and ODBC is used for connectivity. Suppose you want to connect Java as a front end with a back end as a database, then you are using JDBC and ODBC. Similarly, in three-tier architecture, you are also making use of JDBC and ODBC to interact with the database, but the only difference is that Here that user will interact with the database through application server, and that application server will control all the activity, all the number of requests that is coming to access a database. So this is what a three-tier architecture. So in this lecture we have discussed two important topics. One is a database system architecture, components and parts, and second one is two-tier and three-tier architecture. So I hope all of you understand these two topics. So here we'll stop. Thank you.